All right, let's welcome to the Misfit Nation, Stephen Edwards. He grew up in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, somehow joined the Army from there after high school, went to the 82nd Airborne Division at Fort Bragg. Spent 4 years there, 2 years in the Florida National Guard, and then he went to college there. What college did you go to there? University of Florida Atlantic, right? Yeah.
Florida Atlantic University.
So welcome to the show, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me today.
Awesome. Are you still in Florida now?
I am. I'm in South Florida. We're right down in Palm Beach.
It's a little different from the weather in Chippewa Falls, I'm guessing.
There's an absolute reason that I left Chippewa Falls. I talked to my mother last week and she's like, it's -10 with the wind chill. I said, Mom, it's 78 here. It's an 88-degree difference. Aren't you excited to be here in 2 weeks? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, Mom, wow. How can you not be excited to want to leave -10? So
I guess if you're
used
to that negative weather up there, I guess it's in the blood for a while after all these years.
Exactly. It's definitely not in my blood anymore. It's definitely not in my kids' blood. People are like, well, do you miss it? I'm like, I love seeing snow now through an iPad when we're FaceTiming.
I definitely don't want to fly up there and get stuck up there because I'm snowed in.
No, we flew up there a couple years ago. Unfortunately, there's a death in the family, and we flew up there. And my kids were young; they were 5 and 2 at the time. And the first thing, my mom, she bought us all of the snowsuits, and she sent it to us. So the second we got off the plane, we put all the cold weather gear on. And I told my son, snow is cold, right? You got to put your gloves on before you go. So what does he do? We get to the hotel. He goes to the big snowbank and he puts his hands in and he starts screaming, Dad, it hurts. It's cold. I go, that's called a learning lesson, buddy. You didn't want to listen to me. And now look at your hands are cold. He didn't do that again. So
life lessons, you got to learn the hard way.
You got to learn them the hard way and learn them early.
Definitely. Earlier this year, I went to Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, to train some soldiers up there. And I got off the plane. It was -2 coming from Tennessee to there. I was like, this is horrible. I don't know how you guys live up here.
I just, people are like, you get used to it. And hey, you can dress for it. And they're like, it's hot, right? A lot of people are like, well, you got to deal with it so hot in Florida. I'm like, I'd rather deal with the 90 days where it's so hot than 1 day of below, right? If it's hot, I could start my car, right? The air conditioning's on. Same thing people say there. Well, I can start my car. Well, to get from your car, right, from your house to your car, you still got to go into the cold weather. You're not going to matter. Your face is going to be cold. Your hands are going to be cold. You got to get out to get gas. And guess what? It's not just that it's cold. It's dreary. It's always overcast. Everybody's cranky. Snow's great for the first 2 days when it's white. And then you get the mud and the roads are bad and everybody's cranky. And it's just not a fun place. Why do you want to live that way 6 months a year?
That's insanity because you like doing the same thing over and over again.
Exactly. It's one of those things. I would say I'd probably rather live there 6 months than ever be in the 101st. But, sometimes you got to have choices in your life.
You got to make choices in life.
Got to make choices.
You got to make those choices. Shots fired. Here we go.
Shots fired. I figured, you know what? We'll start it off.
All right, Steve. So tell us a little bit about your background from as far back as you want to go to where you are now.
Okay, so like you said, my name's Steve Edwards. I'm CEO of Premier Virtual. I come from small town Wisconsin, Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. Most people never heard it unless you had drank Leinenkugel's beer, saw the movie Titanic, right? Where Titanic, Leonardo goes, I grew up ice fishing on Lake Wissota. Well, just so you know, Lake Wissota was a man-made lake that was made after the Titanic sunk. So it's kind of a thing. There was a lot of people in Titanic, but they did a Leo lookalike contest. I was gone. I wouldn't have won anyway, right? I didn't have the pretty hair back then. So, I went to high school and I knew that I wanted to go to the military. Just couldn't figure out kind of where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do, but I knew military was there. And I found I talked to the Army recruiter. I actually talked to the Air Force recruiter first, talked to the Marine recruiter, couldn't fit my head in a jar. So I knew that it was never going to be a good fit as a Marine. Found the Army and they talked to me about jumping out of airplanes. And I was like 18 years old, man, I get to jump out of airplanes. Loved it. So I went in, I got into the 82nd. It's really where my first choice was. And, I spent my time the whole time in Fort Bragg, got out of the Army. 5 of us moved down here to South Florida for college at FAU. Was there, graduated in '02. From there, I got transferred around a lot with the company I worked for. I got transferred from Boca to Charlotte to Atlanta, San Diego, back to Atlanta. And then the company, I was in the mortgage industry, and we all know what happened in 2007. The mortgage industry crashed, and I got recruited by some friends. They ran an outsourced sales and marketing company. So Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, they were their clients. So I was a director of sales, and I used to build sales teams. So I traveled the country building sales teams for this organization. New York, New Jersey, Texas, and Florida were my main markets. And this is pre-wife, pre-kids. So I lived out of a suitcase. It was fun back then, right? You could go, hey, I want to go to New York City for the weekend. I would go up there and I'd work. But then I also had the city and got to travel, Dallas. I'm a huge barbecue fan. So loved going to Texas as much as I could. But when that industry, that division I was in shut down. I was in business to business sales, and I didn't like door-to-door sales or retail. And that was my only other option to move. And I got out. But how do you build a sales team? Job boards, job fairs, personal recruiting is really how you build that. And I found some job fairs that I really enjoyed. They were a little bit different than normal job fairs. And I liked what the company did. And that got me into putting on job fairs. So in 2011, we bought a license agreement from a company out of New Jersey to run job fairs under his name. So we were kind of the first ones that they were kind of franchising the company. He had never done it before. And myself and I went to my business partner and said, hey, I got a great idea. We came in, long story short, we had the license agreement, we put on job fairs. 2018, I really saw a change in the market, right? People would rather apply online than wait in line. So I saw a change and I said, I got to do something, right? I had a wife, couple young kids, and I was like, I got to do something to make money. And a mentor of mine at the time said, I just landed a client that's doing virtual events. Oh, what's a virtual job fair? Never heard of it before. So the guy pitched me virtual job fairs. Come to find out, he didn't even have this. He was trying to resell a product that he didn't even own of there, but he was trying to resell me, but I instantly fell in love. And I called the company that he was trying to resell, and I said, I love what you do. And, there really wasn't a lot of companies doing that out there, and nobody was really doing what I wanted to do. So I was like, virtual is 100%. The company in Jersey wanted nothing to do with virtual. So in December of 2018, we had been testing doing virtual job fairs, because instead of me being in Tampa today, flying to Atlanta tomorrow, the next week going to different places, I could do a job fair in the entire state of Florida at one time. I could do all of South Florida at one time. I could do North Carolina, Raleigh, Charlotte, and Atlanta in one day at one time, and never have to leave my desk. So I just saw the benefits and the efficiency of it. People thought I was crazy. But then I said, I'm going to break off. I'm not going to do any more in-person events. So I created Premier Virtual. Said we're doing all virtual hiring events from now on. And that was January of 2019. We started developing our software, and it was our own software. August, we started testing it. And then I said, I'm going to change my business model. I'm going to now license our platform. I'm not going to host job fairs anymore. So then we had to make some changes. We went live in January. We started kind of calling on clients, took our first client on, and everybody knows what happened in March of 2020. The world stopped. The world didn't know what was going on for a little while. Since that time, we've done over 5,000 virtual hiring events on our platform.
Wow.
So that's a little bit of, who I am and where we're at today.
That's in 18 months. That's a lot of virtual events in that short time. They're basically during the COVID world, as we like to call it these days.
Yeah.
When I first got out, there was a virtual job fair thing for veterans. And it's still out there now. I forget the name of it. But 2015, 16, they would hawk you as you came through TAP or SFL TAP, Soldier for Life, wherever you went through when you were leaving the military. They would tell you, you can go to these virtual ones as well as go to all these ones. You have to bring a pile of resumes and whatever when you're live. It just becomes cumbersome because you hand to that person, they don't care. It just goes in a pile next to them. Oh, that's great piece of paper. We'll see you. We'll call you if we really want you. Okay, see you later. Check the box, because we just helped the veteran because he walked in here. And then the virtual ones came out, and there was basically I'm chatting just like I'm chatting now with someone else. And,
Yep.
All right, so I'm not a good fit for you. Pass next. I can swipe right, swipe left, and I'd be able to get through it.
Yeah, the Tinder of job fairs. So it's interesting, right? So talk about tabs, right? When I got out back in '98, it was so different. It's like, hey, you would go to this thing for 30 days and you'd look on a computer and maybe there was stuff out there, right? There wasn't a lot out there. And, since then it's changed a lot. So we do a lot with veteran organizations. So Soldiers for Life out in Houston, they use our platform. Not all of the Soldiers for Life use our platform, but some of the forts use it. What the company you're talking about is Recruit Military. So they use it. They actually use one of our competitors' platforms that are out there, but they've been around a lot longer than we have. So they're based, the owners kind of know each other. But virtual, how they do it is kind of an East Coast, and their Recruit Military is a host. Okay. So they are saying, hey, we want to bring all of these soldiers from all over, and we're going to get the companies to kind of match them up. Because I don't care if it's an in-person job fair, a networking event, a virtual job fair. The goal of that is to connect two people together. So how do they connect it? And you're right, on in-person job fairs, did it for 9 years. Candidates would come in and they're so excited. They got their resume. They wait in line for 15 to 20 minutes. They go up, say, hi, my name is Steve, and I'm looking for an accounting position. Sorry, Steve, I'm looking for salespeople. Okay, I just wasted my time. All right, so now I got to go to the next line, the next line, the next line, next line, next line. And there's a whole lot of, it's not efficient, right? And then the recruiters, right, like you said, what do recruiters do? They take their resume and they ask a couple questions, maybe they have it, and then they put it over there. And then maybe they have, right? And I used to always tell the recruiters, don't just have a good and a bad pile, right? Kind of mark a little note on there so here's the first people that I want to call. When I was always hiring people, when I was at job fairs, I actually took my planner with me. And I had my planner. And if it was somebody I was interested in, they got two pieces of paper, one about my company and one about the directions and all the information of the day of the interview. And I wrote in, here's the time of your interview and the date of your interview. And then I wrote their name in my planner. So they knew that they were interviewing specifically with me. So I would always try to train my recruiters the same way at the in-person job fair. But what we see now is, the in-person job fair is going away. Even on the college side of it, where people said it'll never go away. You have more people can log in from anywhere, right? A student could log in as they're sitting in the classroom and they can see all the information. And how I built the platform was really to kind of look like an in-person job fair with more data. What does a candidate want to do when they go on a job board? Okay. So when they go to a job board, they type in a location and an industry and a bunch of companies pull up and they see just the job. And then what do? They hit the submit their resume. And then here are some other jobs that may be interested in you. Click it, click, 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 click. Put their feet up, watch Jerry Springer and say, I just applied to 50 jobs today. They don't have to do anything more, right? And at the in-person job fair, like we talked about, right? They're waiting in line. So I kind of combine the two. So when a candidate comes in, and our platform is very customizable, is a candidate can come in and they can go into a lobby and they can see a location. So I'm clicking on West Palm Beach. Then I click on West Palm Beach and here are all the industries of the company. I click on sales. I click there, all the companies pull up that are hiring for salespeople. First thing I do is I go in, I go into their virtual hiring room and I see what the company does. I'm either interested or not interested. If I'm interested, I can see the jobs. I can submit my resume. I can put a custom resume in there as well, not just a generic resume that most people kind of carry around. But if you want to change it for the job or add a cover letter, you can do all of that. Second thing, or the next thing they can do is they can kind of research the companies. So they can see exactly what the companies do. So they say, do I want to work with them? Then they can go right into a chat and immediately into a video interview. So going from seeing what a company does to a video interview in a matter of under a minute. Yeah. That's what people want. That's the efficiency. And then all of the analytics and the data is there. And, a candidate can see 50 companies in an hour with no waiting in line. And that's really the benefit of it.
Streamlined process always helps out both the candidate and of course the person hosting or the person that's sending a recruiter out there. They can just sit behind the desk and they can screen 3 people at one time now on their computer and knock it out immediately. So no keywords. I don't have anything for you. Nothing in your resume matches my keywords. There's nothing here, but they tell you the truth right away. Sorry, bye. Next candidate. And now the Army now, the last 90 to 120 days, soldiers can do an internship. So we have an intern with us now at our office. He's an engineer, but he's learning how to be a contractor, how to be a teacher and integrator like we are. So for 120 days, he'll integrate with us and learn the contracting life. And if there's a position at the end, maybe he'll get one, or we just add to his resume that he was an integrator with our company, and that helps him out. And that's something
the
that
skill
some companies
bridge.
can probably do with you. Put it on there. We'll take interns because the last 120 days they're still being paid by the Army.
Yeah, that
No
skill
cost
bridge
to them.
program is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something I think you can add in there to help out the future vets as they come out.
Yeah, and that's where I know Veterans Florida, they do a lot of skill bridge stuff. So we've had some of the associations that'll come on and they'll say they're get the skill bridge and trying to get people. I know I actually interviewed one guy for it, but he took, by the time I was ready to hire somebody, he took another position. So, but I know he's trying to meet with me now. So maybe he wants to come over. He realized that we were a better fit for him. So he was an officer and he just got out, or he's just getting ready to get out. He just got down here a month ago.
Oh, wow.
But he's in the skill bridge program. So I think that's such a great thing for the Army, because they're, the big thing, right, is they're trying to cut down on that unemployment costs when people get out, right? Let's help them get the job. So I saw it, I flew out to Soldiers for Life out in San Antonio a few years ago, and kind of got, their big thing that they were talking about, what they were trying to do, what the military is trying to do to cut down those unemployment costs. I don't remember the numbers, but I just remember how high they were, and what they can slowly do. So I know the skill bridge should take a pretty big chunk out of that as well.
Yeah, it's a big plus for them. And it's like I said, it's no cost to the employer. They can train that nug to be an intern, make coffee the first couple of weeks, go get our Starbucks, and then, hey, this is how you clean the office. This is how you get on the computer. This is how you pitch class. And you can still treat them like a nug because they're still a young sergeant or young soldier, and they want to learn. They want to get out there. They want to fight and get that next job. And I know going to the virtual career fairs, that's a lot easier for the younger generation because they've been on electronics since they were born. They were born with a tablet attached to their hip. They just flip it up, or I can play a game and watch TV. Now they can go on that same tablet and find your company and Premier Virtual and go on a virtual career fair and say, hey, that's one company I want to go with right there. That one that's on their fair.
Yeah, and that's really where this is, going, right? The millennials, Gen Zs. I got a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old, and unfortunately, my 4-year-old can grab my phone, get into my phone, look at games. He can look at anything, right? YouTube. He can look at pictures. He can do anything that's on my phone. Why does he know it, right? And he was able to do it at 3 because his brother, who's 3 years older than him, has the iPad. So when Tristan was on that, and then Gavin's learning from this, they see it at such an early age. We were talking, last week, and I'm trying to really, get outside, right? Here's your limits on the iPads. Here's this, right? We got outside. Let's get into the pool. Let's, go out. I built them a monster fort out there. I'm like, this is how I grew up in Wisconsin, and you're going to grow up the same way. You're going to be outside. You're going to be out there. You're going to be having fun without the cold weather.
Without that pain.
Yes, exactly.
You can get some sandburns, maybe a little suntan, whatever, because you get used to that after a while. You get the tan skin. The melatonin gets in there, melanin, get that warm up brown skin, you'd be all right.
Yeah, it's funny. I bought last year for Christmas. I bought him a thing for snowball fights, right? Big cotton balls, because that's the kid's snowball. My wife and we laugh about that, and we were out at the there's a big farm down here in South Florida, and they do amazing holiday stuff, especially for Christmas and Halloween. And they call it Christmas on the Farm. They have all these things out there, and Santa comes out there, and they have snow, right? Which snow here is bubbles. And my wife is like, they just don't even know what it's like here to see real snow. Like all these Florida kids are like, it's snow, and it's like, it's bubbles, but that's what they do down here at the kids carnival for my son's school. They had all these bubbles, and they had it, and it was so much there, right? You could walk in and it's right up to the top of their head, but the kids were loving it because it's warm and they're playing in their sno, but it's just bubbles. So
it's a cool experience for them too. So yeah, we didn't have bubbles like that growing up unless we messed up the washing machine. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you had a different problem after that.
Then you had mom and dad's problem,
Yes, definitely. So what's the biggest successes you've had in this first basically 2 years, 18 months that you've been in business with Premier Virtual? has any of your successes called back and say, hey, man, thanks for putting this on, and I wish it was there my first time I went out looking for a job?
I'll tell you that, we learned a lot in the last 18 months. One of the big one is we just launched the second version of our software, which is substantially different than our old one. As soon as we had our old one, we started launching our second one, which has like a video resume platform. Candidates can answer questions, so companies can ask. But I'll say the two biggest things I had is the second one I like to say is the state of Massachusetts did a job fair on our platform. 1,700 companies in one job fair, 17,000 job seekers, and over 1.3 million company booth views. That can't be done. It's a record job fair that was out there, and it was powered by us. That can't be done in person.
No way.
So we love that. But I'll tell you my greatest accomplishment that I feel, for the year is, and we deal with the American Legion, U.S. Veterans Chamber of Commerce that uses our platform. We deal with a lot of veterans organizations. But the best thing we did is the U.S. Army did their 30-day recruiting event this year on our platform.
Really?
So that was like, we went through a lot to demo all of them at USAREC, show them our platform, do everything. Now they did it in a very interesting way, where they attached it with their website. So they had to register on the website and then they would go. But the Army used my platform. And I felt like it was so amazing and this is what I told them at USAREC when I was going over and we were training them and everything. I said, in 1994, I went to MEPS and I sat down. My recruiter was a terrible recruiter. I'm going to say that. My recruiter didn't really tell me anything. And I wanted to be an airborne combat medic. That's what I wanted to be. So I come in there and they're like, we got a combat engineer job. You get to blow things up. And this was at MEPS, right? So what did they do? They pulled out the big laser disc and they showed me this.
Big video.
And I'm like, man, cool, blowing stuff up. And then they showed building bridges. And I was like, no, not for me. Next thing they said, well, we don't have the combat medic. And I should have got up and walked out and said, hey, okay, I'm going to wait till you have one of the positions. But my recruiter didn't really tell me I could do that. But they're like, we got this airborne parachute breaker. And I was like, what's that? And he's like, let me show you the laser disc. Puts the laser disc up. First thing, jumping out of airplanes in the middle of the day. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing, they showing you're working on a tank. They're rigging up a tank to drop out, and they had some pretty attractive females on there. I'm like, I'm 17 years old at the time. I'm like, I get to jump out of airplanes and work with hot chicks. Sign me up, So that's how I became a parachute riggers. And I got there and I realized, you're jumping in the middle of the night. It's not always this, jumping during the middle of the day stuff, but, unless you did the chaplain's jumps and the fun jumps, but you learn something different, right? But that's how I became a parachute rigger, was that laser disc. So I'm like, and I told them this at USAREC, and I was like, it's so cool to think that, in 94, this is what I did. Now, in 2020, the Army is using my platform that I developed to get soldiers to come through and do what I did. And it was really kind of a cool, right? Like kind of nostalgia to think, man, look at where I came from, of where I was a 17-year-old kid who wasn't the greatest in school to, now I'm a CEO of a software company and the Army is using my platform.
And I fell for the propaganda at 17. Now this kid, he doesn't have to see the propaganda. He can see it in writing what they're going to do, instead of the pictures of the pretty girls putting the parachutes together, rigging that tank and jumping in Hollywood during the daylight. And
exactly.
You in, the adrenaline rush. Yeah, I'm going. That's it. That's what I'm doing.
They've done some really good things. If you look at, the Army, the Air Force, Navy, all of these commercials that are out now, they got some really good commercials out there, but it's that marketing, right? That how you can get there. But it's cool because they kind of came in, and how they developed the platform for it was, when a candidate could log in, they could kind of see the industry that they wanted to be in, infantry, special forces, and they could go in and they could watch the videos and then chat with the live recruiters. So it was set up really cool to be able to see that, and we still deal with, some National Guard units throughout it. We have some of the other battalions, recruiting battalions, still use our platform as well. So, but I could say that's my biggest success, is just to be able to see, where I came from and where we're at now.
And to help the future soldier, the soldier of the future. And,
future soldiers,
I had my first squad when I was at Fort Bragg, Kansas. I had my first squad, a decon squad, and a heavy decon platoon. And these soldiers came in, Sergeant, where's our lab coats? I said, what lab coats? They said the video showed us working in a lab, these lab coats. I said, oh, yeah, you're not going to get that ever. It's a tap apron. Have a good day. Here's a mop gear. Have a good day. And soul crushed right there.
they were expecting so much more, and now it's a different time. So
yeah, I didn't see a lab until probably my 21st year in the Army.
Oh wow!
As a chemical soldier, it's the first time I seen a lab.
Okay.
So 21 years, I was with the infantry most of the time. Then finally, I got to a specialized chemical unit and went to actually did lab stuff. I was like, oh, this is what a lab looks like. This is awesome.
This is what it looks like. So what was your MOS?
I was when you were in, it was MBC.
Okay.
Now it's CBRN, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear.
Okay. Yeah, I remember those guys in the units.
Gas mask, and you had to go to the gas chamber. That was us.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yep. My gas mask never worked. So it was one of those things. I still remember basic training to this day, and the video, we had the video on it, and I knew my gas vest didn't work. I told the drill sergeants it didn't work. No, that's all right. So the second I got in there, I was burning, and then they make you take it off and, ask all the stuff. I could do all that. I walked out. It's the only time in my life I was like, let me just lay down and die. Again, I never went to war. I never went to anything. But I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever felt in my life, that we had it. And, I remember one time we went to the field too. And again, I knew my gas mask didn't. So when they dropped the gas on us, I just ran. I ran smack dab into a tree, dropped over, got up, just kept running. And then I realized I don't have my M16 on me anymore.
You go back.
Then I had to go back, try to find it when we're all supposed to be in our foxhole. And I'm like, I'm going to get in so much trouble here, but I wanted nothing to do with that gas. Right. It wasn't fun for me. So.
And most chambers back when you came in, every chamber had the specifically made for some reason with outside the door, the exit door was a tree. So if you didn't listen to commands when you came out the door, you were running smack into that tree. And that's before they decided safety was paramount. So the trees are now gone. But at that time, there was always a tree outside that exit door. So Joe would come running out, that mask off, all piped up, boom.
I was like, just let me lay down and die. Oh, brutal. That's not something I'd ever want to go through again.
I enjoyed it because I guess I got immune to the CS after a while. I can just go in there with no mask on and stand there. And people would come in, oh, there's nothing. And I can take my mask off. And as soon as they take it off, they start gagging. I was like, gotcha.
Yeah. They thought it was there. No, not me. So luckily I didn't have to do that to me.
So how does someone get in contact with you to maybe get their company onto your platform to do a job fair?
So if it's a veterans organization, any association, college, private company, our website is premiervirtual.com. That's PREMIER virtual, VIRTUAL.com. And they can see all the information right there, how our platform works, what we do. They can schedule a strategy call. They can actually chat live with one of my team members and find out, we're all here. We're based here in the US. My whole team, besides two of my buddies that were in the 82nd with me. One lives in North Carolina. One lives in Indiana. They work for me, but otherwise our entire team is based here in South Florida. And they can go right to the website, premiervirtual.com, find out what we do, get a demo and, see if it's something that's there. I tell a lot of people, just give me 15 minutes. Let's have a strategy call and see if it's for you. Because some organizations we're not the right fit for. I deal with Angus and Nagus as well. And, I was on a call with him one time and he was like talking about doing an event for the officers. And I was like, a virtual hybrid event is not going to be a good event, right? These officers that are in here, they want to shake hands. They want to, they want to go out to the bar afterwards. This is where the networking, this is what they're doing. Virtual is not going to work. So virtual is not for everybody. If anybody tells you that it is, I'm going to tell them they're a liar. Some organizations it's not the right fit for, but most people can do an event. They can do hybrid events, all kinds of stuff out there.
Awesome. And of course, you're on every social media platform except TikTok. That's not on there. So maybe you'll get on.
We're not on TikTok. We're going to be soon. It's crazy. All of these, right? When something new comes out, like Snapchat, right? Everybody jumped on Snapchat, but now TikTok's coming out. And I actually saw a thing on YouTube the other day is where do you get if you want an answer to something, where do you go? Google, Safari, TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
what?
I was shocked. Like TikTok, right? Like I see it now. Personally, I'm not a huge social media fan. I actually canceled all my Facebook and everything. But then our director of marketing, they're like, you got to have the Facebook because then that's how you have your business on there, right? You also got to have your personal brand as well as, people see that, hey, you're a real person, right? You're a loving father. You're a great husband. You do a lot of stuff out there. People look at the brand that's you and not just the company.
Right. And
so, yeah.
Even LinkedIn, if you're not on LinkedIn, you're linked out, they say. So once you're on there, that's where a lot of people look there and say, oh, Premier Virtual, is he on LinkedIn? Let's see if he's there. He's real if he's there. Then he'll have his website there as well. So that's the best way to get in contact with a lot of companies now. And most companies, once you go to those career fairs, they'll look at your LinkedIn as well and say, does it match? Oh, none of this matches what he's done. So it'll all come together.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing, right? Because LinkedIn, I remember 2007 when I was with a company and they put out a memo. You cannot go to somebody's Facebook page to look at what they do before you hire. You can't use social media. Company put out that memo. And I was like, why? I questioned the HR. I said, why? They're like, you can't do it. I go, listen, we hire people for outside sales. Some of these people, right, they have to pass a background and a drug test. I go, if I look at their social media and everything on their social media is about drugs, are we going to hire them or are you going to waste time? They're like, nope, couldn't do it. But now what does people do? The first thing they do is they look at their LinkedIn, they look at their Facebook. I used to advise a fraternity and I told them, I'm like, people, watch what you put on your Facebook. In college, you're putting all this stuff, right? You're partying, everything that you're doing out there. But guess what? One day, your Facebook you're going to graduate from college and you're now going to be a professional and you're going to look for a job and people are going to look back. They're like, it doesn't happen. I go, how many of these high school football players or college football players suddenly look back at something and they said something when they were a sophomore, junior in high school, and now suddenly it's coming back up in their social media, right? And you get that a lot, right? Somebody drops, something they shouldn't be saying, yes. Right? Even though it may be, in jest to a friend or something like this, and they think it's all right? Because that's the lingo of the day. Suddenly 10 years later, it affects your career.
Yeah,
people don't understand.
Yeah. And that happened to quarterback Jake Fromm, University of Georgia, when he got to the Buffalo Bills. Someone leaked what he said on Twitter, I think 3 years before that. And he had to go through all, sensitivity training, all that stuff, and basically got blacklisted. And now he's a backup on the Giants now.
Yeah, that was, I couldn't remember who it was. I knew there was a recent quarterback that just happened to.
I remember because he just came to our team, the Giants. So I know that's why he's there, because the Bills didn't want him anymore. So, it's little things like that. You don't think. I mean, I look back at my college days, and I was talking to a couple of guys I was in college with. I was like, man, am I glad they didn't have social media when we were in college? Because guess what? At 18, 19, 20, those guys would have done anything. I mean, I was 21 when I got to college, but
the stuff that you're doing back then, you don't think about it. You think, nobody's going to ever care.
You just you're living for today. That's all you were doing at that point, living for that day and having a great time. No flashbacks.
But now social media, everything's out there. Yes. You may have deleted it, but there's somebody out there that saved it. You know, I was actually talking about that today with a couple of my team members. The movie Skulls, right? Where, you know, they kept all that information so that later on in life they could use it against you. And I'm like, you know, I had a guy who was in our fraternity that did that. He used to keep it. And one time it was like 10 years later, he just said something on a group post that we were all in. And everybody's like, how do you, that was something like, did you have, he goes, oh yeah, it's in my notes. You took notes in college about what we did?
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of people stopped talking to him after that. Very crazy. Yeah. It's like, man,
you got the black flag right there.
You got the black flag. So.
Well, Steve, this has been great chatting with you, even though you're from the lesser division, the 82nd. The 101st was the first to jump into World War II. And the 173rd is the only one that has a combat jumping in recent years. So here we are today talking about better things with you and your career as a CEO of Premier Virtual. Thanks for coming on to Misfit Nation.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I always love talking with people from the 101st. You know, it's the only one out there that have an airborne thing on there, but most of them aren't even airborne, you know?
Exactly. So, but we're better. It's all right.
All right. Sounds good, Rich.
All right, brother.